Hey, welcome to the second episode of Exposition with Mike Thompson, myself, and Valerie Thomas. This week we're going to be talking with Courtney Richie, with Courtney B Designs, about glass sculpting or jewelry and goat milk products, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So what kind of things do we have going on in your world of arts and the French art colony and activities in town?
Well, we have the very first annual St. Patrick's Day Cultural Parade coming up. We had to change the date from this coming Saturday, the 14th, to next Saturday, the 21st, and it's a fundraiser for the Gallia County Artisan Market. And we want everybody involved, as many people involved as we can, of all cultures and art, and as many people to make this the best, first successful St. Patrick's Day Cultural Parade in Gallipolis.
So the date is what?
It's been changed to March 21st, which is next Saturday, because of the rain we're expecting this weekend.
Right. Yeah, it's like 100% rain.
Yes.
And what time should you expect that downtown?
The parade starts at 1 o'clock,
Okay.
and lineup will be at noon, and we're taking up to the last second parade entries. So people can just come and show up, and we'll take their parade entry on that day.
Kilt.
Yes.
Kilt.
Kilt. Oh, and Mike is going to be in the parade wearing a kilt.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not on a motorcycle this time, but just walking.
I hope not on a motorcycle. Okay.
I've been known to do that from time to time.
Holy moly, man. That's why we're so glad to have you. And University of Rio Grande. Mm-hmm. We have Task of Southeast Ohio. We have the Gallia County Artisan Market that the fundraiser parade is for. And Kerr School of Irish Dance, the Red Cross, the local Harley Owners Group. We'll have, hopefully Mrs. Holzer will be our Grand Marshal with her family. But if she can't make it, Terry Lane of Riverview Productions said he would step in. And we have the Gallia County Veterans Services Office, the Veterans of Foreign Wars. We're hoping to have Envy Inc. We have Rio Grande Community College. We have Point Pleasant's Taekwondo. And Smith Buick is going to have a green car in the parade, and we're hoping some of the other local car dealerships will be involved as well. Mm-hmm. So far,
sounds like it might be a good time.
We're hoping to get more people involved.
And then isn't there something afterwards, after the parade?
Well, we do have, we've reserved the city park for the whole day from 10 to 4
mm-hmm.
for people to set up and sell, market, promote, fundraise all day in the park that day.
Okay.
And
so
next
is it these
year,
same groups or?
Same groups or any groups.
Okay.
Since it's a fundraiser, we'll accept anybody that's within legal ranges of activities.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's talk to Courtney.
Yes, we should.
So Courtney B Designs. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you come from?
Well, I grew up in the DC suburbs, and I moved here, about 5 years ago to Gallipolis. Prior to that, I was in Parkersburg, and I moved there when I married my husband, John Richie.
Yay! Yay!
I have a past of jewelry repair and custom work, working for different jewelers, and that's where my focus was for a very long time. I worked in different jewelry stores here and in Maryland and Virginia. And here I am now, and I've changed over to my own business, working for myself. I do glass, beads, and jewelry, and add in a lot of metal work and just play all day, but it's serious because it's my livelihood, and I love it. I also have goats and a little farmstead where I milk the goats and make milk products from their milk.
Now, where can people find your products?
Well, I do have local places that I have my pieces. The Artisan Shop in town, Gallipolis, down in the Lafayette, is wonderfully filled with so many different types of art and crafts, but I'm very pleased that I've been doing very well in there. Have a whole showcase full of jewelry and some soap and milk products. I also have an Etsy site online, and then I'm on Facebook as well. But I travel around different art festivals. You'll be able to see me at the Bob Evans Farm Fest again this year. Last year was my first time, and I'm excited to be invited back. So here we are again. Locally, in town at different venues. I'll be at the parade, vending in the park then. Also, last year I did the 4th of July in the park, and that was wonderful.
So you had a little place set up there?
And I did demonstrations.
Oh,
I had my torch,
fire,
and just to show some of
the
things I use.
So you're a little pyromaniac with that.
Yes.
She is. She's wild.
From way back. What I do is I use a torch to melt. These are the glass rods that I use. This is a shorter version. They come in about 2-foot lengths.
I thought maybe they were as big as your finger or something. I guess they're a little bit more delicate than that.
You can get them in different thicknesses, but this is the standard, about a pencil thickness.
Okay.
And what I do is I melt the tip and only work with the tip, and I dab it and wind it and do different techniques with the molten glass. So I build layers of that. Sometimes I pull it thinner so I can do detail work. And then basically I'm winding it on a mandrel that I've coated with a ceramics release. And that way I build up the bead around this release, and then when it's all done I can pull it off, and it's a bead with a hole through the middle. And then I make jewelry out of it.
How hot does it take to melt?
It depends on the type of glass, generally between 1800 to 2000 degrees. And then, yes, you have to be very careful. Obviously, you're open flame. The end of the glass is very hot when I work it.
Can you hold on to one side of that?
Yeah, it's not hot anywhere up here. I can actually
so it doesn't
close.
Conduct like a metal rod or something.
Correct. Although on a clear piece of glass, it's pretty interesting because the flame will be at one end and you can see it light up on the other.
Right.
Just
like fiber optics.
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of fun.
But you have to wear protective
Right.
eye gear. You look like a welder, kind of.
I use glasses that are coated with didymium, and that helps to cut the flare away from the flame when I'm working in it, and I can see through that flare and see the details. It also helps protect against different UV light and such.
So what kind of glass do you use?
This is soda lime glass. There are two major types that you'll see in art glass. It'll be Pyrex, or it's also called borosilicate glass.
So that has a higher melting temperature?
Right, that's like what you would find in your Pyrex glassware. It's very durable and shock resistant to different temperature extremes. Whereas this is soda lime glass. It's a little more sensitive.
There you go.
There we go. It's a little more sensitive to heat.
Camera.
And it has a better palette. Is its benefit. It's a huge range of colors in the palette. I have over 100 colors of this. It's a little more temperamental, so you just have to slow down, take your time with it, but you can get some amazing results from it.
Now, could I just break some glass out of a window and start at that, or?
Well, I mean, you could melt glass that way, but but what you have to do
as far as the levels and the temperatures,
right.
Where does that rate?
The big thing with glass is it has to be compatible, because glass expands and shrinks when you heat it up and cool it down. So if you have two different, it's called a coefficient COE, coefficient of expansion. There it is.
Right.
And what that says is it's expanding and contracting at a certain rate. And so if you have one glass with one rate and another glass with another rate, you might be able to melt it together at first, but then once it starts cooling for any time at all, it'll burst, break apart. So you have to kind of baby it. Once I'm done working the glass in the torch, I take it immediately, put it into a little enameling kiln. And that holds it at a steady rate of 960 degrees. And then I have programmed a little digital controller on my kiln. When I'm done for the day, I just flip a switch and it'll slowly ramp it down over.
So it's very important for it to cool down slowly.
Yes.
Not like metal where you stick it in the water.
Yeah.
That'd be a bad idea.
That's all important. Otherwise you open the kiln in the morning and you have a bunch of shards. So, but it's wonderful. I go down in the morning because usually I'm done, and in the morning I go in. It's like Christmas morning. I check out what's in the kiln, see what made it, what didn't. Usually, hopefully it's.
What kind of percentage do you usually run?
I usually do 100% nowadays.
Oh, good.
But there have been days in the past, if something goes a little awry, or maybe I've mixed in something I didn't realize that wasn't compatible. Then you'll have issues.
I think Courtney brought along a little video.
Yes.
If we could, I think that shows kind of the process.
Yes, this is me putting a glass bead around a skeleton key. It's just a little steel skeleton key, which I later make into a pendant. And this just shows the process that I use to wind the molten glass and create
You got the
design.
video? Here we go.
Hopefully we can zoom in on that. It's my
Making a
favorite
glass.
piece.
There's a picture of it.
It's my favorite piece.
There's pictures of it.
Okay, this is the flame. Yeah, there's no sound on this. So you have to heat up the key in order to put the glass around it.
Yeah. Now this is, you might not have mentioned or noticed it. It was recorded at 1.5 times as regular speed, just sped up a little bit. Just keep that in mind. And my hand will get out of the way in a minute. I'm a glass worker, not a video.
Yeah. No, it looks good.
This looks great.
So you can see how close I am to that flame. Actually, it's very focused. It doesn't have a lot of radiant heat around it, which is helpful. Now, when I do notice, if I get a little too close, I'll burn the tips of my fingernails. Oh, little.
And you don't wear protective gloves?
No, you can't feel what you're doing if you wear gloves. But I do have an apron on, and it has saved me a few times. I've had a marble that I was working on flip out, and it burnt a hole through 2 layers of my thick denim, but it was enough time for me to flip it up and keep it off of me. Yeah, it's not a joke. You have to be really careful with.
But you do have protective eyewear right there.
Yes,
when
yes.
You're doing that.
And in fact, on this, I took this video with my iPhone, and I hung a pair of glasses in front of the lens of my iPhone so that it would cut through that glare I mentioned. So you're not seeing that. You're seeing what I see. It's nice and clear because of that.
So are you putting different colors, layering that on this?
Right.
Or what?
I started first with the key on this little holder my husband made for me. It's a little spring-loaded holder. And then I put clear on the key itself, which I found to be a nice little buffer because some glass is softer than others and it might create little bubbles if I don't do that. And then what I did is I took an ivory colored glass and encased that around the clear, so that's what you'll see. And then I turned my torch way down, and now I'm using a thin piece of glass that I had pulled previously, and it's called a stringer. And I am slowly applying that and rotating the key in the flame until I get to the end. And I held my breath the entire time because I don't want to shake.
Hopefully you don't pass out in the meantime.
Right. And then I just give it a nice heat soak where it's nice and evenly heated, because I've really tortured this glass by heating it and moving it and done all these techniques to it, which stresses the molecules of the glass. And so when I'm done, that's why I put it in the kiln as well. It anneals, and all the molecules kind of bond back and are in more of a copacetic.
And so one piece of glass wouldn't necessarily fall away from another because they've sort of melted together.
Right, but if you don't get a nice solid melt where they touch, it could flake off later. So that's one of the reasons.
So this is a key. What would you? Is this like a pendant, or
Yes.
what would you do?
I've had people use those little keys. Now that's a smaller key. I've had all different sizes. I've had them mostly used as a pendant, just on a simple cord. People use them as keychains. People have used them as lamp pulls and fan pulls, hanging under picture frames. They're durable because they've been annealed. If it's that one had some surface decoration, which would maybe be a little more fragile than if it was melted solidly into the bead. So.
Okay. So other things you do are pendants. Do you rings? Or?
I do rings. Sometimes I had a little fun with rings. When I thought about it, I thought about, okay, you go into a jewelry store and most of what they have is rings. And then I looked at my display and all the things I've been making. I'm like, I don't have any rings. So how do I incorporate the glass and rings into my line? So I took basically a rod of copper, which is very friendly with glass. They like to work together. It melts well together. And I made a little hook on the end of the copper, and then I melted the glass around that hook on the end of the copper, and then made the design I wanted. So it was sort of a cabochon, or like a flat, this isn't exactly what I was talking about, but so it's kind of a flat domed piece of glass, and then I annealed it, and then the next day I took it out, and it's the glass on the end of a copper rod, and then I bent the copper rod around and made a ring.
Okay.
And that's one way to do it.
So would you make several different sizes, or is this easily resized?
No, that's the drawback. That way it was just not something you could resize easily. Sometimes I made it with a bypass where you could maybe, it wasn't quite solid, it had like a loop extra,
working together
and
like
you
this.
could slide it up a mandrel and maybe open it a little bit, but they were a little temperamental, so we're still working on the design.
Yeah.
They're beautiful.
Thank you.
So they all copper, you got silver, gold?
I do. This one I did is a silver one, and it was just a little prototype where I made a little shank, and then I ran a silver wire through the bead itself and rivet it in place. But that is not one that I've made any more of. This is a one of a kind, and still working on the designs.
Okay. Well, let's put up some pictures of the finished pieces of work.
This is one of my favorites. It's a cameo of a little dairy cow, a little Holstein. I have acid etched the cow itself and left the background and its eye stay a glossy shine that is naturally the glass.
And then did you have to make the background with all those different colors
right.
and stuff?
All that background, first I start with the background. It's always a building from the inside out. So I built that base of this bead, and then I rolled it in little chunks of glass. So it's all randomly dispersed on the outside of the glass. And then melted it down into the surface of the glass, and then I smushed it flat between some paddles or some graphite. I like to use graphite with the glass. That doesn't stick, so I can shape it, and then I had this oval shape I was happy with, and then I started applying the different white glass in dabs, just molten dabs, and then black, and then I use little sculpting tools I'll spot heat one place on the glass and then move it a little bit with my tools, and then just keep working it until I build up an image.
It's amazing. It's like a painting.
Okay. What's the next one?
Painting with glass.
Thank you. This is a lady I've done. She's all glass, and I've made her with gravity and a little razor blade. That's all I've used with her. And just adding glass in different areas and letting it droop and letting it, and then cutting in with the razor blade to, do little different indentations. And her decoration down the side is just another little glass that kind of gave her a little embellishment. But
yeah. And is that like a keychain or something?
That's a pendant, actually.
Pendant?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a shawl pin or a scarf pin that I've done. It's all sterling silver. I, of course, made the bead, and I liked the swirl to it, so I thought I'd mimic the swirl in the silver work. And then I've hand forged the pin, so it's nice and strong, and it holds. It's sort of like a cloak pin, or you would see like a Celtic design. I thought the Celtic
that's what I was thinking. One of those sashes that goes across.
This was just another pendant. I love working with the metal to add it into the glass. They complement each other, where some of the glass actually has metal in it. And in this piece, you can see the shimmer in that glass is actually a silver content. And so that becomes like a metallic shimmer layer on the surface. And then, of course...
So it's not into the glass on the inside of it, it's a coating?
Well, it's glass that I've melted into the surface, but then I use I change the flame of my torch to a little more propane rich, and that pulls that oxide to the surface of the glass. Gives it the shimmer. Thank you.
That's beautiful.
Here's another pin, a shawl pin, and that's all copper that I've used.
Looks a little bit like that Egyptian eye thing.
Oh yeah, it sure does, the shape of it. Now the top bar is just, it's bent just as an aesthetic. It will be hidden in the fabric because it's sort of like a safety pin the way it works. And you'll see the spiral and the bead, and you might notice I've antiqued it a bit, gave it a little bit of a rustic look. Here is just I would call it a bauble.
That'd be an earring or a pendant?
That's a pendant, and it was about 1.5 inches big. It was pretty nice size. And it's really, you could see the layers that I've used. They start inside with just a little suggestion and then build on out, and these flowers are just kind of suspended in the middle of the glass. And it's all glass that I've just layered.
That's nice when you can make it look more three-dimensional where there's some depth to it. Here's another key. That's one of those keys.
And
this a little dragonfly?
Yes, it's a little dragonfly with a little vine that it's resting on. And
where do you find these keys? Are those just made general keys, or are those actual antiques? Or?
Some of them are antiques, some of them are replicas. I just have to hunt around and find them. Yeah, I have people come to me and say, I have a whole drawer full of those. So work a deal with them. This is my bestseller.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, those are really nice.
It's gorgeous.
That's the Tree of Life, and it is all sterling silver, except the stars are actually fine silver. I make the bead itself with this really luminescent, shimmery glass, and it's hard to capture with a photograph, but this one does nicely. The moon has little craters, and hopefully you can see little granulations throughout it. They're always a little different. And then the stars are fine silver wire that I've melted onto the surface of the bead when I made the bead. And they ball up into a little ball, and I thought, oh my gosh, they look like stars. So this sort of evolved. The tree itself is all sterling wire that I've hand twisted and made the big heavy frame is all sterling wire.
It's gorgeous.
I can see why that's a good seller.
Thank you.
You're wearing it, aren't you?
Yeah, I wear it.
You're wearing it today.
The Tree of Life is wonderful. It spans lots of cultures. It's a connection between God, the universe, and our earthly existence here. It really spans across cultures, and it speaks to a lot of people. So I've been lucky with that one.
Do we have another one, or?
Oh yes. Here is some heavy silver work. I forged out
some fine wire work there.
I can't get away from the metal work. I love it too, so luckily I can incorporate them together. The silver hand-woven mesh in the middle is a fine silver wire, and then I forged the frame from a heavier gauge, and then added in the bead just as an embellishment on the top, and I was really tickled with that one. I also do those without the bead, just straight cuff. And that's...
It looks sort of like a Celtic pattern or something.
Well, the person who wanted this one, this was a custom piece, and he asked for something that was a little reminiscent of ocean and beach, but not screaming it. You know, it didn't say I'm at the beach, but you know, has that feeling.
Oh.
And here is a hand-dyed silk ribbon paired with I think it's brass chain, and I hand make the clasp. And of course the bead itself is a little raven, and he's holding a little red berry.
Amazing work.
I really like the sculptural. That's kind of where I'm leaning right now.
We got any more?
Oh,
there we go.
Got more ladies.
Mermaid.
Oh, another little mermaid.
That one, those are iridescent pearls and sterling silver. Again, I made the clasp and of course the little mermaid.
Iridescent.
Yes.
Yes.
Her tail has a silver content in its glass as well, and that gives it that shimmer. So really tickled with how she came out. And then this is all glass. It was an arrowhead pendant I made custom for someone, and I just was really tickled with I used silver foil in with this one, and I laid that down on the glass, and it melts in, and it just creates this wonderful organic texture to it, visual texture. It's not actually rough, but I just was really tickled with how that one came out.
That's amazing.
Looks nice.
Thank you.
Amazing.
So that's your jewelry designs. So we've got 5 minutes, and you also do stuff with goat's milk.
Right.
What all kind of products do you make with goat's milk?
Well, I have a little sample, a little piece of goat's milk soap that I've made. I've put this into a form that gave it this shape.
It smells so good.
And it does.
too.
I use different essential oils and fragrance oils. I do lotions with the goat milk. Of course, we drink it, my family. I make cheese from it. And
the babies are so cute.
And I have, of course, you have to have babies to have milk.
Right.
A lot of people don't know that, actually.
Really?
Well, people think, oh, I'll get a goat and I'll milk it, but then there's a process. So
Yeah.
I have Nubian dairy goats. It's a dairy breed. I milk them by hand, and then I take that milk and immediately filter it and then chill it, and then it's suitable to drink. Now you can pasteurize it if you like. We drink it raw at home, and I'm an advocate of raw, but not everyone is.
So is there a difference or benefits between cow milk and goat's milk?
There is. Goat's milk, I'm not going to have all the exact figures here,
Sure.
but the goat's milk has a better tolerance for people that have lactose intolerance.
okay.
They have a smaller fat molecule in their milk, so when it is digested, it's just easier to break down. The amino acids and proteins in the milk are way higher than what you find in a cow's milk. When it's raw, it has all these wonderful enzymes and things that are actually very beneficial, gut bacteria and that sort of thing. But
Is there any benefits, or why would it be good to use goat milk soap or lotions?
well, you're putting it on your skin, and the minute you put something on your skin, like within 30 seconds, it's starting to be absorbed into your bloodstream. So if you're using products that have a lot of chemicals, that sort of thing, you're actually putting them into your system. The goat milk has all these wonderful nourishing properties, moisturizing, and the protein and so on. Like I said, I can't remember all the exact terms and properties, but it's very beneficial to your skin. It's very good for hypoallergenic people.
That's why you look so good at being 90 years old, right?
Yeah, you never know, right? I wear it well.
I never know. I would never know.
Listen to the birthday boy over here talking about age.
Birthday
today.
boy, birthday boy.
Okay, if someone was wanting to get in contact or find some of your wares, where can they go? We have, I think, a lower third there.
Yeah, we have my Etsy site will be like a storefront online where you could purchase. There's also, of course, in town at the Artisan Shop. They're open Thursdays and Fridays and Saturdays.
We're honored to have you, by the way.
And I love being there.
We love it.
Then, of course, at different shows like Bob Evans, stuff like that. The goat milk products are in the shop, and I tend to bring that along with me when I have the jewelry. I also have a Facebook page for my goat products. It's Melodic Grove Dairy Goats.
Okay.
That's just my herd name. You have to register your herd name, so. So that's not listed, but you can find me on Facebook.
And probably if you just Googled Courtney B Designs, it
Yes.
would probably show up.
Yes.
And
Link you
look
up.
for it in Facebook,
Yes.
and then they can track you down wherever you seem to be hiding your stuff.
Yeah. Well, I work
How
from
do you
home.
find things on Etsy?
It's a search engine.
Okay.
Yeah. Or you can link it from my Facebook. I'll say, here's something new I made, and then you can go to the spot and see the piece on the website page.
So I guess we'll see you at the parade.
The
in a
parade
couple
in the
weeks.
park.
I'll be in the vendors. I'll be one of the vendors in the park.
And then any day that you can go downtown and go to the artisan market, you can find all your stuff there in Gallipolis, Ohio.
I'm really grateful to Valerie and Kelsey, and also to my husband and my son for putting up with all the stuff that I get into.
Grateful to you and for coming in today. This has been so cool.
My pleasure.
Hasn't it?
Thank you. I'll talk about it all day.
Well, we're only limited to a half an hour, and
you.
I'm not sure who we have next week.
Well, next
Next
month would
the
be,
second.
I believe, Jessica Ray Malone has
Right,
agreed
that's
to
it.
be here.
That's it.
I'll get to meet
Jess
her for the
Malone.
first time ever.
Photographer.
Can't wait.
Next time on Exposition on the second Wednesday at 2 o'clock. So we'll see you then. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.